everyone, this is Susan with the Outdoor Gear Review, and I am back at White Top Mountain, and I'm alone today. This is a solo Susie trip, so I hope you guys will stay tuned and watch the episode with me. For those of you that may be missing Luke, he'll be back next week. With the TOGR family, I know it's a wide range of audience, so we like to do a variety here with our channel. So sometimes you get me, sometimes you get Luke, and sometimes you get both of us. But anyway, for today, I am back and I'm going to be camping in those woods behind me. Luke and I were here exploring and I found a really cool campsite. So let's go on a very fun adventure. I'm heading back to where the campsite is in the trees, but I'm also going to do a little bit of exploring before I set up camp today. The great thing about White Top is that there are many unique and secret places hidden. Here's the fire pit. And up there, I'll be setting up my tent. So this will be home for tonight, but before I set up camp, I'm going to run around and do some exploring. I've left my backpack in the truck so I don't have to worry about carrying it around. I never recommend setting up your camp and running off, so that's why I'll be setting up later, so I'm not leaving my stuff unattended. It's about people and animals. You don't want anything messing in your camp, so don't leave your stuff unattended. Before I set up camp, I'm going to explore the trail that Luke and I found on our last adventure here. Luke and I came up here to do some overlanding, and I hope you guys caught that adventure because we had a ton of fun. But we went off trail exploring and we found a trail that was really like a creek. There was so much water, and so we were not able to go very far. But we did a little bit of exploring. Luke found some interesting things. He found like an old metal bucket and a dump pile. And I wasn't able to go as far as he was on the trail. So I'm gonna head off and do just a little bit of exploring and see what I can find. Hey, look at that. That is the bucket that Luke found, and he actually took it back to the dump pile. So that means other people have been out here exploring. The good thing about this trail today is that there is no water, so I'm able to freely walk. There is no creek today, which is nice. So you guys may have seen that I just stepped on some ice, and some of the water that is on the ground is actually frozen, and that's because it's pretty chilly up here. It is in the 40s right now, with temps expected to get into the 20s tonight. Do you hear Mr. Crow talking to me? I guess he's my buddy today in the woods. This forest is really neat, and the trail, well, it's not much of a trail. It's more like maybe a game path at this point. So I'm having to duck to get through it. And I haven't found anything else interesting yet, but let's keep going and see what we find. I almost missed it, but here is the dump pile. There's lots of cans. There's some bottles down here. There's a jar. A couple of jars are actually kind of hidden in that moss. There's a better look at all the cans. This place is so cool, and I tell you, it is really quiet. And I think it's because the entire forest floor is moss, and I think that's why you don't hear anything. It's so quiet. It's funny, the trash pile has almost been reclaimed by the forest. I think if you could dig in the moss, you might find some more bottles and things like that. You can just see just hints of glass jars and hints of glass sticking out. There's definitely a story here, but what it is, I don't know. When Luke and I were out here, this trail was literally a river. And in fact, I didn't go very far because of that reason. It was really like a rushing stream. It's all dried up now. I am finding a little bit more garbage as we hike along, but it all seems newer stuff, unfortunately. Nothing old right now. I'm gonna keep going a little bit longer and then make a decision about what to do based on if the trail continues or not. It's honestly getting close to coffee time, so we probably will head back. If you are new to the channel and you're tuning in because you wanted to see a female out alone in the wild, I'm so glad you tuned in. But in case you didn't know, I am a huge coffee addict, so that's always gonna be my priority. I'm gonna hike, explore, have fun, but when coffee time hits, I'm out of the woods to the stove making coffee. I'm at the second trash dump and I'm finding stuff that's newer, like maybe from the 80s. And then I'm clearly finding stuff that's older than that and predates that. So it's an odd assortment. A lot of it is just trash and it's weird. I really don't know what to make of it. I feel like if you went digging in the moss, you might find a toilet or you might find half a car. I don't know. There's bits and pieces sticking up and there's like all these mounds here covered in moss. So that's why I feel like there are things buried here, piled up, and the forest has reclaimed them. It is said that the forest harbors many secrets, and I believe that to be very true. The trail continues on, and I found some more oddities. I found a bunch of rusted metal, big pieces. It definitely used to be something. So I'm curious as to what do you guys think it was? I believe the big piece of pipe that Luke found the last time we were here probably attached to it. And it definitely was something, but what? I have no idea. So the trail keeps going through the woods and it's inviting me to follow. So I'm gonna keep hiking for a little bit longer. The trail is heading down from where we were and it's changing. There's more leaves, not as much moss. And it seems like the trail is deteriorating a little bit. It's not as visible, and that may be due to the leaves. I think this is a good place to end the hiking and exploration and head back and time to set up camp. Then make some coffee and do a little bit of relaxing before the sun sets. So let's talk for a second about the purple pack that I'm carrying. This is from Hanker and it's called the Breccia. I brought this one out today and it's very interesting. The pack is a little on the small side, but it has all these extra pockets and little pouches that disassemble from the pack. So what I'm about to do is take off this side pouch because this is actually my food bag. I don't know, I haven't made up my mind about the pack. It's unique, but maybe slightly over-engineered. I'm not sure at this point. But I did want to show you guys how the pouches come apart. It is a 45 liter, and the claim is when you add all of the additional compartments, you get 66 liters. I just tried to utilize all the space that I could, and it does work for my overnight bag. This front pouch comes off as well, and it actually turns into a day pack, a small little backpack. Speaking about gear, I'm using the Thermarest X-Therm sleeping pad. I have a 0 degree bag from Go Light, and those two items are always with me if I'm going to be out in the cold weather. I have all my gear inside of the tent, and now it's coffee time. Feels good to sit down for just a second. The thing about filming these adventures is that it is a lot of work, and I'm definitely feeling tired. But so far I've had a great trip. I've had a great time. I really enjoyed exploring and hiking around. The cool thing about this campsite that I really like is that there was a designated fire pit, and it was a separate area from where my tent is. I have a good place to sit, a nice fire pit. There actually is quite a lot of wood now that I'm looking around, so I don't think this campsite is utilized as often as you would think that it should be. But yeah, I'm going to have coffee and a snack, and later tonight I'll be able to have a fire. Right now is my favorite time of any backpacking trip. All the camp tours are done, everything is set up, and it is time for me to sit back and enjoy a cup of coffee. When you go out camping, there's absolutely no reason to suffer or to be miserable. And I dare to even say that if that's your experience, then you're doing something wrong. You can have an epic adventure and have all of those comforts that you need. With every trip that you do, you get more confident, you get more comfortable, and I think you gain the knowledge that you need. Been out enjoying this beautiful sunset. I mean, it is fantastic up here. It is so pretty, but I tell you what, it is windy now, so I'm freezing cold. I'm gonna head back into the woods, and I think I'm gonna get a fire going so I can warm up. But wow, I mean, this sunset was fantastic. You know, heading back into the woods, I feel a little bit more sheltered here, but the winds have picked up. So what I did was I reversed my fleece and down jacket because a gust of wind kind of blew through, and I realized, you know, I want to protect my down jacket. So anytime you're out and you want to be close to the fire, really take the extra care to protect anything down or just protect your gear in general. If an ember flies out and hits my fleece, it's not going to be that big of a deal, But if it hits my down jacket and causes a big hole, it could be very difficult to repair that. So I wanted to address some of the questions that you guys left me on Facebook. It's a good way for you guys to get to know me better. I know when Luke does trips, he definitely talks a lot and you guys learn a lot about him. So this is a great way for you to learn more about me. Mike says, how is the solo hike going? Nothing like some alone time in the woods to charge your soul. And he's absolutely right. So far today has been excellent. I've really enjoyed my alone time. And I find when I'm out alone, I can think about things, let my thoughts run wild, just no distractions. I just get to reset and unplug from everything. And it's really nice. Brian wants to know if I've ever had to pull my weapon out to stop a wild animal from attacking me, and I have not had to do that. In fact, I haven't heard of anyone having issues in this area or even where we're from with animals at all. I think you have to worry more about people than wild animals. Denver says, hope you have a great time, and this question is actually from his daughter. She prefers to wear leggings instead of jeans or other pants, and have I found any brands that hold up on the trail? And that actually is an excellent question because a lot of ladies like wearing leggings, myself included. So the two brands that I can highly recommend are the Fjallraven tights. They are very durable because they have the reinforced seat area and the knees. And then there's some cold weather tights from Fabletics that I do like because they are lined and the quality and the durability is there with those. So I would recommend either one of those brands. Dina says, can't wait to see the video. When Luke went camping in the middle of the silent woods, it creeped her out and she definitely expected to see Sasquatch show up. You know, Sasquatch definitely could be around here, and the funny thing is that there was some weird sign as you drive up to White Top Mountain of a Sasquatch. Someone painted it, and it's gone, so apparently Sasquatch came and took his sign. Gary says his wife wants to know if I get frightened, and I do not. I've done this many, many times, and there's nothing to be scared of. There's no animals that are going to bother you. You always need to take into consideration your own personal safety, but I've had no bad experiences and I really enjoy being out, and I think once you try it, you will enjoy it too. I know I've talked about it before in previous adventures, but I feel like 99.9% of the time you're not going to have any issues. And you know, if you are feeling fearful, you know, figure out what's making you feel that way and always trust your gut. So if you're heading out to camp and something doesn't feel right, then trust your instinct and go somewhere else or call the trip off. I think you need to be watchful, be mindful, and be aware, and make your personal safety your #1 priority when you're out. And other than that, I mean, I still think you should try it. I wouldn't let it stop me from going out. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to strangers and other people, trust is earned. Jacqueline says, have fun and stay safe, and how do you approach mentally camping out as a lone female? And I think I've touched upon this. I think you just have to get out there and try it. There's nothing really to be fearful of. Dennis says, I hope you're having a great time, and I definitely am, Dennis. Susan wants to know, how do I pick a trail or campground to go to? Do I seek silence, middle of the trees, or do I prefer a known trail or campground? So I think for myself, I like to go to places that I am familiar with. I am fine with going to new places. Like, this is a new place for me, but it's one that I found with Luke as we were kind of out scouting and exploring. So I like the idea of that. You kind of go scout out a place that you would be interested in, and you get a feel for the area. So for myself, being at White Top, I get a good energy from this place. So I definitely seek out, you know, something that is slightly familiar or something that I've previously found. I like solitude when I go out, so I'm definitely not going to go to a campground unless it's like a backcountry camping area. I definitely want to be alone when I go out. Wendy says, since you've done this a few times, what are your top 3 suggestions for women considering solos? And that is a great question, Wendy. I would say #1 is make sure you take care of your personal safety. And really, my suggestions are not just for women. I think this goes for everybody. Always make your personal safety number one. Number two, I think you need to pick an adventure that fits your skills. So if you've never done this before, don't plan to hike out into the backcountry in Colorado and climb some crazy mountain when you've never done any type of hiking or backpacking. So pick a trip that fits your skills. And then number three would be to be comfortable on your trip. And what I mean by that is bring whatever you need to have a good trip and to be comfortable. If you think you need it, just bring it and you will learn if it was unnecessary or not. If you properly prepare for your trip, you will have a good time and you'll be ready for whatever happens on that trip. I think that is the most common thing that I hear people talk about is, you know, I went camping and it was awful. And it's like, well, why was it awful? On a side note, it's getting pretty windy up here, so I thought it's a good time to start dinner. And this fire is not gonna last forever, so I'm gonna eat and call it a night. Tonight's dinner is an easy, cheesy BNT, which stands for bacon, bits, noodles, and tomatoes. It's from Mary Jane's Farm. And we've tried another meal from this company, and we did really like it, so this is what I chose for tonight. And I'm pretty sure I saw a question that I didn't get to answer of someone asking what I prefer. And I like things to be simple. I just like to eat my meal out of a bag. I'm not gonna cook and make a big mess to have to clean up. So, you know, it's my trip, it's how I like to do things, and why not make it easy, right? Now with these pouches, one thing I've noticed is that they don't like reseal. So you kind of have to fold them down. And it says, I think it's like a 10-minute wait. So hopefully that's enough for the pasta to cook. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it, but either way, it'll be okay. Let's see how it is. Yeah, it actually is pretty good, and the pasta is rehydrated, so nothing's crunchy. Yeah, I think if you like macaroni and cheese, you would like this meal. You taste the bacon and you taste the tomatoes. Luke's never been a fan of macaroni, so that's sort of why I brought this meal, because I don't think it's one that he would even like to eat, and he would never take it, so that's why I grabbed it. As I eat dinner tonight around the campfire, I thought I would share some fun facts about myself, and that's a good way for you guys to get to know me better. They're just going to be quirky, interesting facts that hopefully you did not know about me. I grew up on a farm, and I grew up doing lots of work outside and having to help my dad. So I do have an appreciation for the outdoors and for hard work. But I've always just loved being outside. I also did tons of walking with my mom, and so I think that's where I got a love of hiking from, was from her. Another fun fact is that I love goats, because those are the only pets that my dad would allow us to have. He came home one day and my brother and I had been begging for a pet, you know, a cat, a dog, a hamster, anything. And he said, yes, I'll get you a pet. And he came home and he said, I brought you guys some kids. I was probably only 7, 8 years old, and I'm thinking, well, why did you bring us a kid, and what does that even mean? And so he said, go look outside, and he had I think he had 4 goats outside for me and my brother, and he said, there you guys go, there's your pets. So we had pet goats. So I do have a special love for goats. Something that I'm not a big fan of is water. I'm definitely more of a mountain girl. While I love traveling to the beach and seeing the ocean every once in a while or visiting lakes, I'm definitely not a water lover. And I think that that comes from when I was little. I was out riding my bike, and I was pretty little. I was out riding my bike and I was making a turn and somehow ended up going over this little bank and into a deep body of water. And I remember my brother having to drag me out, and I was absolutely terrified and scared to death. So I think that bad experience with water definitely made me not a fan of it. I have taken swimming lessons even as an adult, and I'm not great at swimming. It's just not my strong point. So definitely not a lover of water. Those are some fun, unique things about me. I'm gonna finish up dinner and then brush up and probably call it a night. You know, I've said it before, but being out and filming, it can be exhausting. It definitely adds a level to it. So I am ready to do some relaxing. I am ready for bed. I changed, I'm nice and warm, and the wind has really picked up outside. It is really gusty. So I'm glad I'm inside. I think I'll sleep good, and I'm actually tired, so I think I'm gonna call it a night. And of course, if anything happens, I'll bring you guys back if anything wakes me up. I'm not expecting anything crazy to happen, and I will see you guys in the morning. Good night. Good morning. I'm trying to wake up here. I'm very warm inside my bag and inside this tent. But I tell you, it got so windy last night. Really windy. It seemed like the wind was high for the most part. But sometime earlier this morning, it's definitely lower now, and so the tent's kind of blowing around. Yeah, it's breezy, so I'm not sure what to do about coffee, breakfast, and all that. Hopefully you all can hear that, but it's definitely windy. I slept great though, and I definitely need to get up, get the day going. As for getting home, there's really no rush for myself. Unfortunately, if it is this windy when I get out, it will be hard to film, and it is pretty cold, so you know, sitting around when it's windy and upper 20s, maybe it's 30 degrees, but I don't think so. I think it's upper 20s. I think for now I'll focus on getting up, getting ready for the day, and then we'll see what it's like outside. Good morning. I'm out of the tent and I'm ready for the day, and it's very breezy, so I'm trying to decide the best place to cook my breakfast and make coffee at. I have the choice to do it at the vestibule of the tent, but I think I'm going to scout around and see if there's a more sheltered area in the forest where I can actually sit and have a cup of coffee. So yeah, I'm going to go look around for just a little bit. After looking around, I found this place on the edge of the forest where I can hunker down and make some coffee. These trees here give me some shelter from the wind. Unfortunately, it is so windy this morning that this is pretty much the best option that I have. for this morning, I'm pretty much in a hurry at this point. The fog has rolled in, there's a storm system moving in, and rain is expected probably by midday today. So I don't want to get caught out here in the rain, and I'm gonna just hustle, have coffee, eat, finish packing up, and leave. The fog really is pretty when it rolls in like that. So typical of this area and of this mountain. I'm watching the fog continue to roll in, basically just waiting on breakfast to finish rehydrating, drinking a cup of coffee here. And I wanted to take a second to tell you guys I appreciate all the support, reading through the comments that I was able to get my phone to load. There's just so many supportive ones saying have a great time and go Susie, and I just appreciate all of that. It really means a lot when I come out here and do these trips for you guys. This morning I'm having polenta with pork sausage. This is a meal from Packet Gourmet. It's actually one of my favorite breakfasts that they have. If you're not familiar with polenta, think of grits. That's pretty much what it is. So this is like corn grits with a lot of seasoning, some pork sausage. Overall, the flavor is just really good, and so it spices it up. Instead of having oatmeal every morning, I choose this. And I can't help but just sit here and kind of laugh about it. It's so typical of White Top Mountain. And in case you didn't know, White Top Mountain is the second highest mountain in Virginia. And there's always crazy weather. The last trip that Luke and I were here on, it was foggy the entire time, so there was no view whatsoever. And I always tell people, if you go to White Top and you don't see the view, you have to go back because you don't realize what you're missing when you're up here in the fog. So when I woke up this morning, I was thinking, should I go check out that Lover's Leap trail again? What should I do? Because we never got to see the view there. But now that I'm out and about and you can see the fog just pouring in, there is no view today, which is okay. But yeah, this is one of our favorite places to come to. Usually there are people driving up and down the road, but it doesn't seem like anyone lingers for too long. You don't really run into many people here. It's almost like a secret gym to me, and it really is a unique place. So here at White Top Mountain, there is so much history, and I know you've heard us talk about it many, many times before, but the biggest event here that I'm aware of was the big music festival. And that was happening in the 30s. And with the wind howling last night, it really sounded like a woman humming. It was kind of weird. I'm back at camp right now and it is so windy, and I'm pretty sure I keep seeing maybe snowflakes flying through the air. I'm not sure, but there's something. So I'm basically just gonna stop filming, not worry about that, and break down camp. The winds have really picked up and I feel like it's my cue to pack this up and get out. trip is done. Thank you everyone for joining me and watching this video. Everyone take care, be safe, strength and honor, and I will catch you guys at my next adventure. Bye!